live. NBA Eastern Conference preview. If you didn't listen to the Western Conference preview, go check that out. They're out at the same time right now. We're recording this one on October 21st, Monday, a day before the NBA season starts. It's still weird. I know we recorded the Western Conference one last week. It is still very, very weird that the NBA starts tomorrow.
It is, because I'm looking at the slate and I'm like, oh, look, this must be another preseason game. Are we still in Summer League? Like, there's no way it can be the regular season. And here we are, late October. The 82-game grind starts tomorrow. I don't think it's going to set in for at least another 2 weeks. Like, if I'm watching the Hornets, I'm going to be like, is this really, like, a legitimate game? Like, there's no way.
Especially because they're going to win early because people are healthy right now. But
exactly. Plus
this isn't a Hornets show. I guess it is. It's Eastern Conference. But
it's like a 15th of a Hornets show.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Number one seed in the Eastern Conference. Let's start things off.
We're gonna keep it chalk here because I think this team is head and shoulders above every other team in the league, especially in the East, especially in the regular season, and that's the Boston Celtics, over under 58.5 wins. But I think they're the clear cut pick for the 1 seed. I think they might start a little bit slow as far as like, you know, they went to the championship last year, obviously won the title. I think there's going to be a small period of hangover, and I'm also a little bit worried about their center position. Porzingis is out until mid-December maybe, and you know that's going to get pushed back till like Valentine's Day. Al Horford has been great, but eventually he will fall off a cliff. We've seen it with so many of the other guys at his age. Xavier Tillman's going to get a lot of run early. I think we're going to get an uncomfortable amount of Xavier Tillman minutes, maybe a little Neemias Queta. That's the only position I'm worried about. Drew Holiday, Derek White, Tatum Brown. I mean, it's the best four-man lineup in the league, and when Porzingis comes back, it's hands down the best five-man lineup in the last, I'd even put them above the Golden State Warriors because at least they had that fifth spot was like, is it Iguodala, is it, whoever.
Yeah, but the talent in those other positions were so far ahead.
True. But as far as like 1 through 5 position-wise, there's not a weak link. You can't point to it and be like, let's attack that guy. Let's go at that guy on defense. Let's leave him open to shoot. There's no weak links. Like, they can all do it all. So that's my pick for the 1 seed. It's boring, it's chalky, but it's the right answer. Even if they win like 54 games, they're still going to get the 1 seed.
It's so clear. It's the Boston Celtics. There's no other answer. There's a reason their win total's 58.5. I'm surprised it's honestly not 60 wins this year. Honestly.
Well, I think that's partially the Porzingis injury and also partially because how much is this team going to care in mid-November, early December after winning the title? It's like, all right, a few of us, 3 of us just played in the Olympics. A long season. They made the finals last year, obviously won it. That's a lot of basketball. So in these first couple months, I'm wondering how much of a hangover there's going to be. But you know what? They could go out and start 10-10. I'm still going to pick them to make the finals. Yep. I wouldn't hesitate.
Yeah, 100%. The other thing about the Celtics, this offseason was probably the best thing that could have happened to this team going forward because the NBA Finals, Jaylen Brown steps up. He becomes the guy in the biggest moment, wins Finals MVP. Jason Tatum still has that chip on his shoulder of, I want to be Finals MVP. Then going into the Olympics, Jason Tatum, multiple DMPs. It was the whole story of the Olympics in Paris. And also, Jaylen Brown gets snubbed as a Finals MVP from the U.S. Olympic team. The Finals MVP got snubbed. This team, the 2 best players, are going to have massive, massive chips on their shoulders still. Joe Mazzulla is a psychopath. They're not going to take nights off. Even if they have to, it doesn't matter. They're so talented. These bench guys can still do it. I don't see a world where the Celtics team is not in the finals besides injury.
Yeah, I think you're right. And the one concern I mentioned, the big man position, how do you feel about their bench, their depth? Because people are like, oh, Peyton Pritchard and Sam Hauser, like, they're going to take a big leap this year and be awesome, which it doesn't matter that much. But if there is one injury, then do you trust Peyton Pritchard playing 30 minutes a game?
Same regular season, as long
I guess it doesn't matter.
Yeah, I was about to say, as long as 3 out of 4 of those guys are playing in the regular season, if you throw Peyton Pritchard in there, Sam Hauser, whatever, they're going to be fine. And also, we haven't talked about Baylor Shireman. I'm a huge fan of Baylor Shireman. I watch a lot of his games at Creighton.
He's not playing a minute.
If he plays, he'll be fine. This dude can light it up.
They lost Svi Mihailu, though. We haven't talked about that either.
That's a big loss. Yeah.
It is. Locker room guy.
Could you, Chase, he'll be back on when we do NBA Pods in February and whatnot, I'm sure, and whatnot. But it pisses me off, Boston sports fans. We're sitting here as Charlotte sports fans. Oh, my gosh. It's hell right now. We lose by 40 to the Washington Commanders. The Hornets haven't won a thing in forever. Ever, actually. Not forever. They've never won anything. Meanwhile, oh, the Patriots had the greatest dynasty in the history of football, and then all of a sudden they're bad, so it's like, oh, okay, they can take their lickings now. Nope, all of a sudden the Celtics are creating their own dynasty as we speak.
Yep, I know. It's not fair. We're clamoring for any bit of success down here.
Anything.
The bottom dwellers.
We're just like grabbing, like, please win a play-in game, LaMelo, please.
Yeah, please just play 60 games, LaMelo.
Yeah, please wear ankle braces, LaMelo, and drive safely.
Don't drive your go-kart on the top of a 20-story high-rise building in downtown Charlotte, maybe.
Oh, my goodness. Other number one seeds to compete for this spot, I think the Knicks are the clear competitor. I think it really feels like it's the Knicks versus the Celtics. You got a little side eye there.
I don't think it's the Knicks.
What?
I mean, if you're going to choose anybody, sure. I don't think they're going to compete for the 1 seed. And I felt better about this before the Towns trade because I do think Karl Anthony Towns raises the Knicks' ceiling. I think he's what they needed, spaces the floor more. He can play the 5. He's moving back to his position at the 5. And people are like, oh, his defense. You know how to mask that defense? You put OG Anunoby and Mikal Bridges and Josh Hart around him on the wing. That masks his defense and lack of rim protection because those guys are so good on the wing. But I just don't see it with this Knicks team. I don't. So we can jump into this. This is a team I think that's going to disappoint people. Not to jump ahead in the rundown, but I think the Knicks are going to disappoint people. They added Mikal Bridges, added Towns, obviously. Tyler Kolek, the rookie campaign. Traded away Randall, DiVincenzo, lost Bogdanovich, lost Hartenstein, lost Alec Burks. I'm going to start with OG Anunoby. 5 years, $212.5 million. Really? Did you see enough to give him $212 million? He barely played for you guys. Did you see enough from OG to be like, here's $212 million to sit in the corner and play decent defense for 45, 50 games? That's a ton of money. Cat, like I said, fills a big need for them. I think Jalen Brunson here, I'm gonna tread lightly here, Karter. I think he's still going to be great this year. I think he has a chance to be All-NBA first, second team. But I think we could see a little bit of regression from him. Now that teams are game planning around Jalen Brunson, these small guards, we've seen it before, and I'm not saying he's anywhere close to Isaiah Thomas, but Isaiah Thomas fell off a cliff. Jalen Brunson's better than that. He's sturdier than that. He plays different than that. But it wouldn't shock me if we saw a small step back from Jalen Brunson. And I'm not saying he's going to like fall off a cliff or anything. He's still going to be an all-star. He's going to be first, second team All-NBA. But I don't know if he's going to put up 28 points a game again. I don't know.
That's interesting. I like this Knicks team, man.
But a Knicks team with expectations, does that not worry you?
Oh, absolutely it worries me. And every single one of Tibbs' teams eventually hits a brick wall. It just smashes them eventually because they just fall off a cliff eventually with these Tibbs teams because they just get tired of them and it always ends really poorly. I don't see that happening, though. The Karl Anthony Towns edition is so crazy to me because I think it makes sense for both sides. Weirdly, I don't like it, and I do like it for both sides. It's hard to explain because Karl Anthony Towns playing for the New York Knicks and dealing with the New York media is going to be the most interesting storyline this year for me. People are going to say Bronny. People are going to say whatever you want to say. Karl Anthony Towns dealing with the New York media is going to be fascinating this season.
I think so, too. But you're right, though, because I think part of the reason the trade seems so weird is because it's two teams that are going to be top 3 in their respective conferences, both making a move to try to help them win. And usually it's like, oh, a bad team or a mediocre team, we're going to dump this star for picks and draft capital to a better team that needs this guy. But this is a trade between two teams that will be at the top of their conferences. I think that's why it seems partially weird to me. But he does raise the ceiling. I'm not going to lie. It just scares me because you mentioned the Tibbs thing. Does Brunson's usage get so high, and I know Towns will alleviate some of this, but does his usage get so high, so many minutes on him, that come April, he's gassed? I don't know. Like, if this team makes it to the playoffs in one piece and they're healthy, and this opening night starting 5 is there in April, I feel so much better about them in the playoffs. But in the regular season, I'm going under their win total. It's one of my favorite picks.
I think Jalen Brunson's usage goes down quite a bit this season because, I mean, you got Bridges, OG's healthy. This team's finally healthy, and Cat's there. I think that's going to be a huge point for them.
I think their depth is worse. Who's their scorer off the bench? Who is their guy off the bench that you can turn to? Deuce McBride? He's going to create offense for you off the bench. They don't really have
Kevin
that
McCullough?
much depth. Yeah, Jericho Sims come in and get 0 points and 8 rebounds a game.
I don't hate Tyler Kolek. I will say that. I'll point that out there. New York fans are going to fall in love with Tyler Kolek. He's going to be on House of Highlights every other week.
One injury and we're getting 10 campaign shots a game.
That's a bad sign.
Now, I'm telling you, their bench I don't love. Starting five is great. They are built to compete with Boston in the playoffs. If I had to pick a team to upset them in the Eastern Conference Finals, it's the New York Knicks, just because of their personnel. But regular season-wise, I'm going under.
I still like them, but I see what you're saying. My issue is I don't want to pick an under because, one, this team can just win a bunch of regular season games. They're so talented, and even if guys are missing, I still don't think that necessarily matters as long as Bridges, as long as Bridges or Brunson is playing. I think it's fine. Connor,
have you seen Bridges' jump shot? Have you seen the videos?
Oh my! I had that on my notes. Don't worry.
Is that Markelle Fultz?
That is one of the number one telltale signs of concern.
Am I stupid? Like he's been in the league how many years now, and it's been fine, and he put up like 28 a game for the Nets over like a 50-game span. Why are we messing with it at this point in his career? And you can say the same thing for Tatum, and then obviously Markelle Fultz was never a great shooter, but these guys that already have it down, we saw it whenever Lonzo came in the league. People were clamoring for LaMelo to change his shot. If it works and they get it off, who cares? Tyrese Halliburton's shot is the ugliest shot in the league. It goes in 40% of the time. Who cares? They've doing it their whole lives. It doesn't have to be a perfect lethal shooter form. I don't know. I'm not a shooting coach, but like, what are we doing?
But how much of, I mean, we've played basketball though. Like, how much of shooting do you think is mental? 85, 90%?
All of a sudden, if you're trying to tweak something in their shot, you're thinking about it. You're like, wait, I got to put my elbow in, and then I'm going to shoot. Like, you're not just catching the ball and putting it up.
That takes years to fix. That it really is a big concern. But Connor, the East is so bad. It's awful.
That was my one caveat. Is there's going to be a lot of easy wins in this conference.
There are so many
and this division.
Teams. And this division, yeah, there's so many tank teams. I guess another number one seed you could discuss is the Sixers.
Oh, you gonna talk a little Sixers?
You love them, don't you?
I do.
You're a sneaky Philly sports fan.
This year, I was the Eagles.
And you were high on the Sixers last year.
Yeah, I don't know. You look at their additions. I don't know how they did it. I'm impressed with Daryl Morey in that front office because they honestly, this could have been a disaster. But just because Steve Ballmer didn't want to open the checkbook and give Paul George a fourth year, they get Paul George. Then they get the pieces around him. This is what I love. Caleb Martin, Eric Gordon, Andre Drummond, Reggie Jackson, Jared McCain, and then Yabu Sele. If four of those guys can play big minutes for you or just rotational minutes, that's a win. Who'd they lose? Tobias Harris? Good. Nick Batum? Big loss. Buddy Hield? Bye. D'Anthony Melton was pretty good. Paul Reed, Robert Covington campaign. I think what they brought in is better. Yeah. I think what they brought in is better than what they lost. They have some established veteran guys that I trust in a playoff game. Like I said with some of the Western preview teams, four of those guys can play 15, 20 minutes in a playoff series, and I'm comfortable with that. They've been there before. Embiid won't play more than 60 games. That's what worries me, but I think Tyrese Maxey is that good that he's capable of winning plenty of these random Wednesday night games against the Raptors or against a mid-tier team like, I don't know, the Bulls or something, like a team that's going to have like 35 wins, the Hawks. Tyrese Maxey is capable of winning a lot of those games by himself. He's going to try super hard. He's young. He's fresh. He's athletic. Even in games Embiid doesn't play, I think this team has a chance to come in and win, was it 50.5? I think they go over this. Because you start Andre Drummond, it's not Embiid, but it's a serviceable backup. It's not Paul Reed. It's not, Mo Bamba, whoever they started last year without Embiid. I like this team. I like this team, Carter.
I like him too. And I hate to be on the Philly train, but I like them. I don't think they compete with the Celtics whatsoever. If it's Celtics versus Sixers NBA Eastern Conference Finals, give me the Celtics in 5.
Yep.
But because the Sixers, I almost don't have questions about them in the regular season anymore. It's okay. Joel Embiid's not going to be healthy. At what point do we see the most all-time load managing of Joel Embiid? Because arguably.
It'll be this year.
I was about to say, arguably, this is the most talented roster he's ever had. Not arguably, this is the most talented roster he's had around, in my opinion. I think it's better than the
Jimmy Butler, Ben Simmons year, I think.
But if you include all the pieces, Maxey, Paul George,
That is true. That is true.
Look, obviously I'm biased because I'm a Duke fan, but I think McCain is going to be phenomenal with this team. He's going to fill any role they need. He's going to be able to be a heat check guy. But anyhow, that's besides the point. They are going to have to load manage Embiid to no end where he potentially will miss out on the All-NBA criteria. He might only play 40 games.
He's already said he won't play a back-to-back this year. So, I don't know how much stock you put into that. I think there'll be a couple, like, if it's the NBA Cup or something, like, they'll play him. But for the most part, he might not play 50 games, 55 games. You're right. And he might miss out on All-NBA. He's already won his MVP. I don't think it matters. Like, obviously it matters, but this team is talented enough and they're deep enough. They're going to be a 2 or a 3 seed, even if Embiid only plays 55 games. Yep. I really do think that. And you're right. If they match up with Boston in the playoffs, I feel so much worse about them than the Knicks competing with Boston. Because the Knicks are actually built to try to guard Boston. They guys, wing defenders, guys that can switch. The Sixers, I mean, who are they putting on? Jaylen Brown, Jason Tatum, Paul George, Caleb Martin. And
at least they have Cat now to go at Embiid.
Yeah, I'm with you.
I'm not thrilled about that, but yeah, it seems like it's Embiid might play 40, 50 games, and
But they have guys that'll try. Maxi's going to try every single night. It could be a Tuesday night, 10 degrees outside. They're up in Milwaukee. Giannis isn't playing. Doesn't matter. Tyrese Maxi's going to go out there and put up 40 points. They've got Yabusele, McCain, like you said. They have young guys that'll try, mixed with veteran guys that have been there before. They can come in and play 20 minutes a night. Hey, Eric Gordon hit 8 threes for 3 or 4 of these games and get us a win. Like, that can happen.
100%. But when it's the playoff question, I'm just never going to believe Embiid will be healthy.
And that's a different conversation, and I completely agree with you. But you know what? If he plays 50 games and it's April and he's fully healthy, I still think he gets hurt in the first round.
Can we talk about a team I cannot stand? And I think
I
they're
hope it's
going to
the
be
same
awful.
team I do. I'm going to flip to my page of notes. I hope it's the same team.
It's the same team.
Please.
Go ahead. What's yours?
Milwaukee Bucks.
100%.
This is the blow it up team for me in this conference. Yep. We're going out of order. We're skipping around the rundown. I don't care. The Milwaukee Bucks are the blow it up team for me. Additions: Taurean Prince, Gary Trent, DeLon Wright. Fine. Gary Trent, a good piece. Losses: Malik Beasley, Pat Bev, Jay Crowder, Danilo Gallinari. Thanasis, low-key biggest loss. Narrative-wise.
Eyes emoji loss.
Yeah, I know. The starters will not be able to play big minutes for a whole season. Middleton is 33 years old. Both his ankles are cooked. Brook Lopez is turning 36. Dame's already 34. Also, how is Dame older than Middleton? That just seems wrong to me. Middleton seems like he should be 40. But besides the point, they got deeper. Sure, they added some depth that I like. DeLon Wright, Gary Trent, Prince. Like, those are guys that can play for you. They've been there before. However, their starting 5 is not going to be able to play big minutes. Eventually, Brook Lopez is going to fall off a cliff. He's at that age now where it's like, defensively, is he going to, remember a couple years ago, he was like Defensive Player of the Year in the running? Those days are gone. Dame's PER was the lowest it's been since his second season last year. And that's with a pretty high usage rate, besides the one season he was injured. But his lowest since his second season, and he was playing with Giannis. Yeah. I'm not talking usage rate, PER, efficiency rating. That should go skyrocket when you're playing with a guy like Giannis. I don't know. 8 of their top 9 rotational guys are 29 or older. I just think this team has the clear-cut signs of a flame-out team, a team that could go completely poorly for. Doc Rivers is the coach. Don't love that, to be completely honest. I love the under 49.5. I think this is a team that come February, we're like, man, will Giannis ask out this summer? Those rumors are going to start swirling.
I will say, I think they start off red hot, though. Because I think they're healthy. They're going to be like, we're the Bucks still. I think Lillard is going to come out of the gate with a few 40-point performances, light it up in November, early December. That is not going to be sustainable throughout the entire season. Also, the Doc Rivers point. This guy doesn't want to coach this team. He got offered so much money where he's just like, I guess I have to leave the golf course with Larry David and Bill Simmons. Fine, I guess I'll go coach the Milwaukee Bucks. Like, I know I've said this before, but it's still true. This guy doesn't want to be living in Milwaukee and coaching the Bucks. I think he knows this is a sinking ship. This is the clear blow it up team. It has to be. Middleton is not going to be able to play an entire season. Damian Lillard, aging guard. We talk about Jalen Brunson, young guard. You get older, you take some bruises. This guy's 34, and the way he plays, that's not going to be sustainable. And Brook Lopez, he's eventually going to fall off a cliff too, like you said. I agree with every point you made here because eventually Giannis is going to want to win an NBA title. That's not going to happen in Milwaukee in the next 3-4
Another
years.
one.
Ever, yeah, maybe ever.
Yeah, well, win another NBA title, though.
In Milwaukee.
Yeah, it's not happening.
Yeah.
Also, the point I want to make is I'm terrified to bet a Giannis under because that dude, he'll be 35 and still going 110% all 82 games if he could. So I respect that a lot. Defensively, you cannot hide Damian Lillard and Chris Middleton on this team anymore. You can't do it. You can't hide them both. Dame is a traffic cone on defense. Genuinely. His defense is horrible. If you sit down and watch a Bucks game, I don't recommend this, and lock in to like him playing defense, it's brutal. It's brutal. It's honestly brutal. And Malik Beasley was a good defender last year, so they were able to hide it a little bit. I mean, now it's going to be who? Gary Trent, Pat Connaughton out there? I don't know. I mean, this team is running it back with the same guys pretty much that are all in their mid-30s. I think Giannis eventually is going to be like, wait, where's Thanasis? My brother's not on the team anymore. Get me out of here. No. I don't know. What I do, though, I think this is a blow-it-up team. I think this is going to be a disaster.
If Thanasis signs mid-season, does that confirm that Giannis is unhappy and wants to get out of Milwaukee? Is that their last
else?
No. If Thanasis signs with the Bucks again mid-season,
his ACL.
So
he tore his ACL. He won't play this year no matter what.
So what's the other Antetokounmpo?
Costas?
Yeah. What if he signs mid-season?
That's the last-ditch effort where it's like, oh my gosh, to be honest, we really believe in Costas. Come join our G League team. Come join the herd.
Yep. Come join the herd. Yeah.
Come join the herd.
Yeah. They're my most disappointing and blow-it-up team.
Yeah, I think so too. They're one of my most confident unders too, especially regular season. It's terrifying betting against Giannis because he really does try, but I can't with the other guys.
Let's roll through some of these segments then. Most confident over.
Most confident over. Let's talk about another team that I think is pretty good. A team in this same division that is 2-1 to win the Central Division, the Cleveland Cavaliers.
Yep.
I'm in. Additions, big addition, JT Thor. No, I'm just kidding. Donovan Mitchell contract situation finally resolved. That was hanging over that team's head like a black cloud. It was like, does Mitchell want to go to Brooklyn? Ugh. Does he want to go to New York? Can't go to New York anymore.
Is it resolved?
I think it's resolved.
Is it resolved?
At least for this year.
So let's say he plays this year, and then all of a sudden, April rolls around. He's like, I'm going to demand a trade. I got my big extension. I signed with the same team. Now I'm going to demand my way out.
I mean, it wouldn't shock me. It's the NBA. We're all about player empowerment, but that has happened multiple times so far. It wouldn't shock me, but I don't think that's going to happen because I think this team is going to be pretty successful. I think the only way that would happen is if the team won like 41 games and they were like really disappointing.
Yeah,
and I don't see that happening. If their team stays healthy, this team is a sleeper team that I think could get 50 wins. They had 48 last year while they had all these injuries. Garland was hurt for a lot of the year. Mitchell contract talk. Here's a stat for you. Garland, Mitchell, Mobley, and Allen, their big four, if you will, only played 28 regular season games together last year, and this team still had 48 wins. That injury regression is gonna regress back to in their favor. I really do think so. If those guys can get in the flow early November, December, I love this team to like hit a stride, and all of a sudden they're like, wait, the Cavs have won 12 of the last 15 games? I don't know. I like it. And there's still going to be questions come playoff time. I'll never believe in a Jared Allen, Evan Mobley duo in the playoffs. I never will. But in the regular season, I think it's going to work.
Cavs are my pick too. Everything you mentioned right there. The only crazy thing about the Cavs is this league
Atkinson, new coach.
I don't hate that at all.
I don't either.
I think that's a good thing. The crazy thing about the Cavs is in a league that's dominated by 6'9" wing players, they have zero.
That is true. Isaac Okoro is like 6'5". Levert's like 6'4". That's their small forward position.
Yeah, they don't really have a real small forward like everyone else does.
JT Thor.
Do they find themselves in, the Brandon? I'm just kidding. I'm not going to bring it.
Oh, my God. It only took, 20 minutes?
Only took 20 minutes to bring up a fake Brandon Ingram trade. Miles Bridges trades are coming up next. No, I love the Cavs here. I think they're a classic Utah Jazz with Rudy Gobert and Donovan Mitchell, where they were the number 1 seed, where, yes, I don't believe this team will compete for the NBA Finals because they just don't have the wing defender or the wing players to go one-on-one when it matters most. But I think they could easily compete for the number 1 seed for sure. I think this team could win 54, 55 games if they're healthy.
I think so too, because it could be a different guy every night. I think last year was a weird year for Darius Garland. A year where he was injured constantly. He had the eye thing, which is really weird. And some of these things just didn't fall in his favor. He's better than what he showed last year. And playing with Donovan Mitchell, obviously his usage and numbers took a hit. But I think there's going to be certain nights where it's going to be his night. Mitchell's going to put up 45 multiple times this season. Like I said, playoff spacing is a different story, but regular season, I like this team. And I do think they need to be in the running. You know, we talk about buyout market every year. Nobody goes to the freaking buyout market anymore. I mean, honestly. But this team could be in position to maybe make a small move, get a wing guy. Because right now, you're right. That 3 spot is Isaac Okoro or Karis LeVert or Max Strus, all of which are probably better as 2 guards. They don't really have that three guy. And then the last thing I'll say, Evan Mobley, 5 years, $224 million. As good as he looks, that would terrify me. As a Cavs fan, that would genuinely terrify me, because if you can't shoot 35% from the corner and just at least be respectable, this team's ceiling is a first or second round exit every single year.
That's a lot of money. That's a lot of money.
But we saw that with multiple guys. We'll talk about the Magic with Franz Wagner. I mean, these guys are getting paid. OG got paid. I don't know.
Mitchell and Garland are kind of like Montgomery and Gibbs for the Detroit Lions, where they're like, I don't know which one's going to score a touchdown, so maybe I bet both of them to score a touchdown. Maybe I'll bet both their points prop tonight. But the problem is the Cavs game, one of them is going to go 3 for 15 and have 13 points, and the other one's going to have 42.
That's so true. But you know what? You know what the consistent factor is there? Jared Allen, 12-plus rebounds. Lock it in.
Oh, my gosh. He just a beautiful player to put in one of those like 15-plus rebound parlays.
I'll go and give you one. Opening week, Jared Allen, Jalen Duren, Domantas Sabonis, 16-plus. Lock it in.
Oh, I love it. I love it. Those people trash on the rebound parlays. Those are amazing. I love them.
The Cavs are my pick to win the Central Division, though. I think the Bucks flame out. Cavs are the clear 2-1. That's good odds.
I do like 2-1. I do like 2-1 for that one.
What's your most confident?
Oh, it was Cavs.
It was too? Okay.
Yeah, it was Cavs. So, another one I like. I don't want to talk about this team for an extended period amount of time, but I kind of like the Hornets over 31.5.
Do you want to go ahead and do this right now?
Yeah, we can get it over with. But before we do that, can I go ahead and repent? Lord, forgive me that I am taking the Hornets over win total yet again. I'm taking a Charlotte sports over yet again. I'm believing a Charlotte sports team will stay healthy yet again.
Well, it's funny because the season hasn't even started, and I've already lost money on the Hornets, because guess what I did? I put them and the Panthers to both win their divisions in a parlay. So I've already lost a bet on the Hornets, and they haven't played a single minute yet. That's pretty on brand. 29.5 win total. It's up to 30.5 in most books now. Added Josh Green, added Taj Gibson, Tijon Salon, the rookie. They didn't really lose anybody of note. Bryce McGowan's, Bertans, JT Thor, Leaky Black, Poku, like guys that didn't really see the floor. Health. We say it every year, and every year we get bold with it. Health. Mark Williams is already out with an injury. LaMelo's supposedly wearing ankle braces this year. Nothing matters if this team doesn't stay healthy. Nothing matters. If LaMelo does not play 65 to 70 games, this team is cooked. Yep. And that's a terrifying bet to make. But you like to think he played 36 games 2 years ago and only 22 last year. Surely he's due for a 60-game season, right?
You'd think, and also with a younger team with guys like Brandon Miller, LaMelo, I don't know how much Steve Clifford resonated with these dudes. And a guy like Charles Lee, who just won the NBA Finals, was a part of a great Celtics organization. I feel like that is a big culture change in Charlotte, which is needed. But I say this time and time again, I don't know how much coaching truly, truly matters in the NBA. I think it can impact it, but if your guys aren't healthy, or if you just have straight knuckleheads on your roster, what are you going to do? Like Steve Clifford, when guys were getting arrested constantly a couple off seasons ago, what is Steve Clifford supposed to do? He's in an impossible spot.
It's not like you're a high school coach where it's like, all right, let me come be a mentor to you. Like these guys are in their late 20s, early 30s.
$40 million.
Yeah, they can do whatever they want. They're grown men. This isn't college. It's not high school. I get that. The one thing with Charles Lee that I want to see is he needs to make them play defense. Period. He's got to make them buy in and play defense. I don't know. They have the wing defenders. Josh Green's a good addition. I think Salon's going to be an absolute dog on defense for 15 minutes a game. That starting lineup terrifies me a little bit. I think Josh Green will probably slide into that 2 or 3 spot alongside Brandon Miller. This team is going to hit 30 wins if Brandon Miller takes the jump, like I think he will. They just are. I mean, I don't know if it's more talented than they were a few years ago, but I think the ceiling's a little bit higher than it was with a Gordon Hayward or a PJ or a Terry Rozier.
I think so too. I agree with that as well.
Lower floor, but higher ceiling, I think.
Yeah, I agree with that as well. The reason for my pick is I don't think they're a tank team. I think the tank teams in this we are going to see a process Sixers like tank job. It is going to be so disgusting in March and April because I am so high on this NBA draft class, whether it's the guys from Rutgers, whether it's Cooper Flag, whoever it may be. There are so many potential all-stars in this NBA draft coming up. This is going to be one of the best draft classes we've seen. Even if you're a top 5 pick, you have a potential all-star right there. This is a loaded draft class. The top 7, 8 guys in this draft coming up would have easily been the number 1 pick in this past year's draft, and that's why you're going to see awful tank jobs. You're going to see teams like the Wizards and the Nets. They might only win 10 games. That's how bad this is going to be.
Yeah, no, I think you're spot on, and the Hornets are not going to be one of those teams.
No, but if injuries happen early, they're going to turn into one of those teams very, 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 very quickly. If it's LaMelo's out for the season and Brandon Miller's dealing with a groin injury and Mark Williams' spine is made of jelly, then guess what? They're going to win 13 games, and they're going to be in the Cooper Flag sweepstakes.
Yeah, I think that's probably true. I just like the pieces on this Charlotte team. I think Trey Mann's going to be a pretty high-usage guy off the bench, and from what I saw in the preseason, he looked pretty good.
Yep.
As far as like handling the ball off the bench like that.
Under. What's your most confident under?
Oh, I'm going Hornets escalators for over. Most confident under, we already talked about Milwaukee. We already talked about the Knicks. This is a team we don't want to spend too much time on. I think the Washington Wizards under is not low enough for me. We're the same. It's not low enough. It's not low enough.
So number 1, I had Celtics. Most confident over, I had Cavs/Hornets. And then under, I had Wizards. Not low enough in my notes. And then I had Bucks as well in there.
Well, you just look at the Wizards roster. It's like, what are they What are they really doing? I mean, it's like a lot of people have said this. It's by design. They want to be bad. You just talked about the tanking teams. I get it. This is arguably the worst roster in the league.
Oh, I don't think it's particularly close. I mean, I like Cam Johnson more than anybody on this Wizards team. So therefore, the Nets would be better. I
wrote this down. They lost their 3, I would say, 3 players that could be in somebody's rotation. They traded away Gafford last year. They lost Denny Avdia for, I think the Blazers got a steal. I think Avdia's not bad. And then Tyus Jones went to the Suns. Like, those are the guys that were like, I kind of like them on the Wizards.
They were the stable forces.
Yeah, the starting 5 on paper makes 0 sense. The shot selection of this team is going to be generationally bad.
For people that are kind of NBA casuals and they don't keep up with all the movement and obviously aren't keeping up with the Wizards, read their starting 5 off right now.
Well, this is what I think it is, and there's no telling what it's actually going to be. I think it's going to be Malcolm Brogdon when he gets healthy. I think it's going to be Jordan Poole. I think it's going to be Kuzma at the 3. It's going to be rookie Alex Sarr, and it's going to be Jonas Valanciunas. I think that's the 5.
Ugh.
I don't think that gets you 20 wins. I'm sorry.
Jonas Valanciunas, put him in the rebounds over parlays as well.
I think so too. There's going to be some missed shots, and if he gets 25 minutes a game.
I was going to say, it's all offensive rebounds.
That too. I think, I don't know how you feel about Alex Sarr. He might be 2 years away from being 2 years away.
He might be 5 years away from being 10 years away.
This is a team that's going to shamelessly be in the Cooper Flag sweepstakes, and we need to have like a fun like side bet prop where it's like Jordan Poole versus Cam Thomas usage rates or something like that. It's going to be generational, the shots we see.
Yeah, because Cam Thomas will beat him on shot attempts, but Jordan Poole still might have Jordan Poole might go like 4 for 17, but Cam Thomas might go 10 for 28.
Yeah, I think that's right. And one other thing, I don't want to steal this. I actually heard them say this on the Russillo Bill Simmons House podcast. Wizards, this is win totals like 2021. Will they win 1 out of every 4 games? That's a great way to look at it. I think that's a great way to look at it. 1 out of every 4 games they're going to win, no shot.
It is very scary taking these really low win totals because...
But we see it. We see it. Last year there was 2 teams that were below 15 wins, right? I'm pretty sure.
Wizards 15, Pistons 14.
Yeah, right.
Hornets
so like we
21.
see this. Yeah.
Blazers 21, Spurs 22, Grizzlies 27, Raptors
Yuck.
25, Nets, where they had a decent amount of people playing in the first half of the season, 32.
Yeah, I don't know how.
Yeah, I don't know how either. But yeah, that's my most confident under. What's your buy low team?
Buy low team. So I had down the
Surprise.
Hornets. We already did the Hornets, but I actually have another one in this same division, and that's the Miami Heat.
Oh, you're usually a Miami Heat hater too.
I am, but I think this year 43.5 is too low. I really do.
Do you? How much of this is Jimmy Butler contract year?
Well, there's that. There's a big, not even contract year, just F you to Pat Riley for the comments. Because Jimmy Butler's the type of guy, he's not going to go pout in the corner and hold out if somebody makes a mean comment. He's going to go out there and show people like an F you. Like, it wouldn't shock me this year if he's like, yeah, I'm playing for a contract, and then just leaves Miami high and dry because Pat Riley's comments. Like, that wouldn't shock me, genuinely. Jimmy Butler in the regular season historically has not been a good bet, but that is partially the reason. Another huge reason for me is a full offseason of Terry Rozier. I think for somebody that watched as many Hornets games as we did, he is a dog. He will try every night. He plays hard, and he never got a rhythm in Miami last year. He got there. People were in and out of the lineup. He was hurt for a while, came back for the playoffs. It never really got meshed together with Terry Rozier. I think he is going to be so much better this year. Butler might take the regular season seriously. Tyler Hero, I'm a little low on. I don't think he's actually a superstar, but if he can slot into that heat check guy that doesn't take 20 shots a game, I think he'll be a good piece. And then I think a number one point for this team is they have a top 3 coach in the league. And for all the people that say coaching doesn't matter, like you just said, usually that's true. But for whatever reason, Eric Spoelstra has success with whatever team he's on. Whatever team he has in front of him, they're successful. There's no shot. 43.5, that's too low. That's too low.
And
They
especially
had 46 last year. Butler didn't try. Injuries everywhere. They got in and out of the lineup every single night. You didn't know what you were going to get. They had 46.
And nobody is better when you least expect it than Eric Spoelstra.
Yes. That year they had like Hassan Whiteside and actually made a weird run.
It doesn't matter. This guy is just an elite coach. He's the Mike Tomlin of the NBA. This guy just wins and wins and wins. He doesn't win the big one, but, man, he sure gets you close to it.
You won't see him tanking. I'll tell you that. You won't see him tanking. And another reason I love this win total in the Heat, I think they're going to surprise people. I'm lower on some of the other teams that are above them, like the Knicks and the Bucks. Like, I'm a little bit lower on them. That's why I think the Heat they're going to be more towards that 46-47 range, I think.
I had the Hornets written down, but that was like a little half thing. I don't know. If they're healthy, I think they can compete for a play-in spot. That's the surprise, I think, because going from 31 to 39 is a massive jump. I have the Magic written down too, but the problem is the Magic are at a 47-48 win total. I don't see them winning 56 games this year, so that's not a buy low surprise team right there, because I also don't think they're anywhere near finals appearance or even making the Eastern Conference Finals.
Last year, they were the surprise team, and so this year, I don't know if it's necessarily surprising because, like you said, they're projected to win almost 50 games. I wrote this down for the Magic, Karter. There's only one player that can really make or break this season. That's Franz Wagner. 35%, 36% from three his first 2 years, 28% last year, down to 26 in the playoffs last year. That's a big drop-off, and maybe he bounces back this year, and that's just like a one-off season that we look back on. We're like, what happened there? But they paid this man $224 million after shooting 28% from three. If he is a true number 2 guy in this league, the Magic will win 50 games. They will. He has to take some of that pressure off Paolo. I genuinely I think Paolo is good enough to take that next step as a superstar, but unless there's a number 2, number 3 guy behind him, that usage rate is going to be horrible. And his efficiency numbers were bad last year, but if you watch the Magic games, he was taking some awful shots into the shot clock, had to chuck it up just because he would get handed a grenade. It was like Caleb Love at UNC a couple years ago. Here, there's 4 seconds left. You're double teamed. Take the ball. Yep, you shoot it. I don't know. I think this team gets over 48 wins. I like their over here, but I'm worried about Franz Wagner.
Yeah, I am very worried about it. You see that number? That's a big number. He was so bad. He was nearly unplayable in the playoffs, Connor.
Yeah, and even in the Olympics, he wasn't even that good.
No. No.
And the one thing about Orlando, they were 26th last year in three-point percentage. In an era where the Boston Celtics are the best team and they shoot the most threes in the league by far and have the best percentage by far, the way they play is how teams want to play. The Magic don't have the pieces for that. They've got good defenders, they've got glue guys, but they don't have a true shooter. They added KCP, but they don't have a guy to just come in and score for them. A lot of people were saying they should have got Malik Monk. That would have helped them a ton, filled a hole off the bench. But who is that scorer off the bench? Who is that shooter they have in the starting lineup? I don't see it. Like, it's not Wagner. Paolo is more of an initiator. It's not Jalen Suggs. It's not Wendell Carter. I don't know.
Yeah, I think that's true. Playoffs-wise, that's why I don't believe in them very much. But this win total, once again, there's going to be a lot of bad teams in this conference. And also, I just believe in Paolo so much. I'm a huge believer. But you're right. Franz has to be there to help him out because he's taking way too many shots, has the ball in his hands way too much.
I will say, last thing on the Magic, young team, defense travels. Defense travels during the regular season. If it's a random Tuesday night in November, Jalen Suggs is going to come at you and harass you the whole time. If you're an established star, a lot of these guys aren't going to be ready for Jalen Suggs to be trying for 40 minutes on a Tuesday night on a back-to-back. That travels. Defense travels.
Could you imagine you're sitting there, you're like Trae Young, you're like, oh yeah, I had 35 last night against the Hornets. Oh, now I got to go against the Magic on the second night of a back-to-back?
Yeah, they're just going to switch off like Jalen Suggs and Jonathan Isaac guard my pick and roll. It's like, what do I do?
Yep.
I'm in hell.
Yep. Sell high / disappointing team. We're both Bucks, right?
I wrote down Bucks and I wrote down sneaky Knicks.
Yeah, it's Bucks for me for sure. Blow it up. I know we talked about the Bucks, but the Toronto Raptors have to be mentioned here.
I think that's a good answer, I think.
But what would blowing it up even do for the Raptors? Who would take on these contracts? Who would take on Emmanuel Quickley for $170 million? Who would take on RJ Barrett? Hey, RJ, come here. Come take 30% of our shots. Come dominate the ball. Come dominate the offense. Oh, but you're one of the most inefficient players? And Scotty Barnes,
Scotty Barnes is all-star.
Scotty Barnes. There is a world where we look back and we talk about Scotty Barnes making the All-Star game like we do Tyler Huntley making the Pro Bowl in football.
That's not. I don't think that's far off. I don't know.
No, he's better than Tyler Huntley. He's not a backup, but also that contract, is Masai? I always butcher his name. He might be the luckiest GM of all time.
What, for that title?
Yes.
I think so too. If they don't win that championship, we look at this team in a completely different light. It's like
Kevin Durant,
like LeBron owns you for 10 years, and then you give the money to all these guys.
If Kevin Durant does not tear his ACL, this dude is an assistant GM for the Hornets.
Yeah, I think you're right. And for the fans who aren't necessarily locked into the Raptors' financial situation, you might take a glance at the roster. You might just do a quick Google of the Raptors roster. You're like, yeah, there's not a lot of good guys on that roster. Surely they're not, one of the highest paid payrolls in the league. Surely not, right? Emmanuel Quickley, $32.5 million this year. RJ Barrett, $26 million. Bruce Brown, $23 million. Jakob Poeltl, $19.5 million. You're telling me those guys are all making almost $20 million a year, and Emmanuel Quickley is your highest paid player? I guess not when Scotty's extension kicks in, but $32.5 for Emmanuel Quickley? He's awesome when he's a 20-minute-a-game guy on a good team, heat check guy. Come in, we'll see if it's his night. If not, we'll pull him after 10 minutes. When he is your starting point guard and offensive initiator, that does not work. Does not work.
Genuinely, let me ask you this. Would you rather have Tyus Jones for $32 million or Emmanuel Quickley?
It depends on the roster, but I would lean Tyus Jones just because at least I know he's going to get other people involved. He's efficient. Like I know what I'm getting from him. Emmanuel Quickley, is your third guard. Emmanuel Quickley is fine. Great. We saw it on the Knicks. If he's your third guard, great. But if he's playing 35 minutes a game, I don't like him as much anymore.
And Tyus Jones is making $30 million less this season.
I know. They're paying superstar money to non-superstars. Like, another thing about Scotty Barnes, he will never be the number one option on a winning team. Scotty Barnes will never be the number one option on a team that has playoff success. He's perfect number 2, number 3 guy, glue guy, defensive stopper, can get you a bucket sometimes, but he'll never be a number one option on offense. And that's not to his fault. It's just the way this team is built is horrendous.
And you mentioned the Raptors' financial situation. Scotty Barnes, his extension hasn't even kicked in yet. That dude's going to be getting paid $50, $55, $60 million over 5 years. That is a lot of money. I understand the cap goes up. I don't care. It's Scotty Barnes. Look at who you have. I understand you don't want to lose the asset, but $55, $60 million a year for Scotty Barnes when he's taking up, 33% of your cap at that point, 25% of your cap? Are you thrilled about that? I don't think so.
What's this team's goal? Bench sucks, starters don't fit together play style-wise, and they're paying bad players superstar money. What's the goal of this team? Give me the under. I don't think it's low enough. They only had 25 wins last year, and that includes 39 Siakam games and 27 OG games. And they still only had 25 wins. How the hell were they 5 wins better?
And also, they might have just a touch too much talent to be out of the number 1 pick.
Yeah, they're going to be in that weird purgatory range. I think so. Because they're not going to be in that very bottom tier, but they're going to be the next level up.
I got their win total right here. I'm seeing 28.5.
Yeah, but it went down. So it was 29.5 yesterday.
They're a 27-win team, 28-win team. You say, oh, that's pretty bad. That's like the 4th or 5th worst. Not this year. That means you're going to be a 7th, 8th pick. And then you're really in purgatory, even though I think the 7th, 8th pick this year, pretty good. This is loaded draft class. But anyhow, that's besides the point. Who's your blow-it-up team?
Blow-it-up team? I went over this. I said Milwaukee. That was my first pick. And then real quick, we'll touch on this one. I said Chicago for the other one.
I think they kind of did blow it up.
Did they? They still have Zach LaVine. They still have Vucevic.
Yeah, that's true. Zach LaVine's in this. Vucevic, what are you going to get out of him at this point? It's like someone take him, and then Zach LaVine, they can't trade him. No one wants Zach LaVine. He's like,
no,
he's like, don't say Brandon Ingram, but he just takes too much of your offense and demands too much money, and he's
black hole
prone.
Offense. Yeah. Oh, not Brandon Ingram. Sorry.
No. Zach LaVine. He's a black hole on offense.
Well, this Bulls team, they added Josh Giddey, who actually sneaky. I like Josh Giddey on a team like this. I really do. Like if it's him and Kobe White. But it feels like this Bulls team is like the island of misfit toys, where it's like, I kind of like Josh Giddey, love Kobe White, kind of like this piece, kind of like that piece. But together, it's like, that's not a winning basketball team. You're paying Patrick Williams $90 million. That's another contract where it's like, Patrick Williams? He has an average over 10 points a game in a season. I don't know. I would like them more if a couple of these guys got traded and it was just like the Josh Giddey, Kobe White show, because then I think they'd be frisky. I really do. But how they're constructed right now, like what's their starting lineup? Kobe White, Josh Giddey, Zach LaVine, Pat Williams, Vucevic. 4 of those guys are traffic cones on defense. Pat Williams is the only decent defender in that starting lineup.
Realistically, do you see any team outside of the Lakers trading for Zach LaVine?
No, I don't. That's a panic move button. I almost said the Warriors, but I think they're too smart for that. So I don't think so.
I don't think there's another team that's dumb enough to trade for that contract.
I don't think so. I think they're stuck with him. It's brutal. I'm going under here. I think they're going to be right in that Raptors range. They're both going to be bad.
Yeah, but they're going to also win too many games to really be bad. But also with the NBA draft lottery, I got to stop talking about it. Who cares? Gross team,
Brooklyn Nets. Let's touch on that. Let's just do it real quick.
Yep.
Brooklyn Nets, win total 19.5. This roster, I mean, aside from the Wizards, is the worst one in the league. They added Bogdanovich, added Killian Hayes, who I think they just cut, Shake Milton and Zaire Williams. They lost Bridges, Dennis Smith, Lonnie Walker. Look, this is going to be the Cam Thomas show every night. It's going to be 40 shots a game. It's going to be, and you know what? There's going to be a couple games where he drops 50, 55 points, and he's going to be in competition for the scoring title. Don't slide your cursor to the right and look at the usage percentage or the efficiency numbers. Just look at points per game. It'll all be fine, Nets fans. This team's horrible. There's a couple guys on this team that I think people will want to trade for, Dorian Finney-Smith, Cam Johnson, but I think this team wins maybe 12 games. This is going to be another shameless tank.
Yep, and good for them.
Yeah, do it. Why not?
Yeah, you have to.
Why not?
Get in the Cooper Flag sweepstakes. Gross team. I had Wizards written down. We already touched on them. I don't want to talk another minute about the Wizards. The only 2 teams we didn't talk about, let's briefly touch on. The Atlanta Hawks. What a weird year for them, and now we're finally... If you're Quinn Snyder, aren't you just sitting there like, why did I get impatient? Why did I take? I could have been the coach of 5. He could have been the coach of the Cavaliers right now. He could have been the coach of so many better teams, and he hitched his wagon to Trae Young in this Hawks team.
I know, and I don't get it. This is a lot of people's that I've heard's pick to be like, oh, sneaky good team. For what reason? They don't own their first round pick, so yes, they don't have a reason to be bad. Trae Young is we're going to see a ton of Trae Young, an uncomfortable amount of Trae Young again. But then after that, who's their second scorer? Bogdanovich, like 1 out of every 5 or 6 games. But after that, who?
DeAndre Hunter?
DeAndre Hunter's going to break out for the 8th year in a row now. I think we know what DeAndre Hunter is now. We can stop being like, oh, he's going to be a top 30 guy in the league next year. No, he's not. He's not going to be.
AJ Griffin's not going to be playing for them this season.
No, he got traded to the Rockets and then retired from basketball. So
nope. He went to follow God.
He did. Good for him. I think there's a lot of wing guys on this team, and I'm not sure any of them can actually put the ball in the basket. Like, genuinely. Reece Shea, DeAndre Hunter, like, are any of these guys really going to put buckets up for you? If Jalen Johnson's your second best player, you're not going to win 40 games. I'm sorry.
And I like Jalen Johnson. I think he's solid.
I do too. But Trae by himself will not win 37 games for this team. I love the under.
Outside of Trae Young and Jalen Johnson, like you said, how many of these guys can you say, here's the ball, go get yourself a bucket?
Because all you have to do is blitz Trae Young, make him give up the ball, and then it's, all right, DeAndre Hunter, make a play when it's 4-on-3 with the ball in your hands. It's not happening. Clint Capella.
How often does DeAndre Hunter have the ball in his hands? This guy can't stay on the court.
That too. I don't know. That's why people are picking Reece Shea Rookie of the Year, just because he's going to get a ton of minutes, maybe. But I
don't hate it.
The talent on this Hawks team is not. It's bottom 5 in this Eastern Conference. The talent's not there.
No, it's not. The Indiana Pacers, I can't believe we didn't talk about them. They're a pretty solid team.
They are.
The Pacers, their win total is 46.5. They made the freaking Eastern Conference Finals. That feels like a flash in the pan where you're like, remember when the Blazers made the Eastern Conference Finals or Western Conference Finals? You're like, oh, yeah, that was cool, I guess. That's how it is with the Pacers. They're in the Sacramento Kings category to me where there is no shot in this world that they will make a NBA Finals. There is, honestly, I don't think there's any shot outside of a historical bad injury run from all of these teams for them to even sniff the Eastern Conference Finals again.
And I don't want to say it was fluky, but a lot of things fell into place.
Oh, my gosh, everything. Embiid gets hurt. The Knicks are running out of gas, and they've got injuries everywhere. The Celtics were the only team that could stay healthy enough to play them because if they play that Cavs team, we're talking about I think the Cavs beat the Pacers.
Yeah, this was the hardest win total for me. I don't know about you, but it really boils down to what version of Halliburton are we getting? The post injury Halliburton or the one that was in the in-season tournament? This team was second in pace behind the Wizards last year. They're going to play hard every night. Matherin's back this year. There's a lot of positive signs. And I think I'm going to take the over just because there's so many other bad teams in the East at the bottom of the conference. I think that's all it boils down to. But what version of Halliburton are we getting?
Yep.
I don't know.
I think that's 100% it, but as a playoff team,
I don't see it.
They're just a classic. They don't really have the ceiling. I could sneaky see them losing in the first round to just about any of these teams. Like, doesn't it feel just perfect that they're going to play the Magic in the first round in the 4-5 matchup?
We say it every year. That's the NBA TV kickoff, 12 noon, day one of the playoffs with, I don't know, Ryan Rucco on the call, whoever's on the call.
Greg Anthony, that's the one right there. This year it's going to be like Channing Frye. Or who was the one dude that was like, I'm a leak your address on like, oh, you make money or whatever that stuff.
I forget his name, but holy hell, what a clip.
That was insane. It was a preseason Kings game, and he's sitting there and be like, oh, yeah, you go give me money?
Yeah. I told you how to play with me. There is one last team we haven't talked about. It's a team I like a lot, actually.
What?
Detroit Pistons.
Oh, yeah, we did talk about the Detroit Pistons. I like their win total.
I do, too. There's 25.5. I think they win more games than Chicago. Genuinely. And they're 5 wins higher.
I think they win more than the Raptors. I think this team, now it's all dependent on if Cade Cunningham can stay healthy. Yeah. Also, Monty Williams is just a terrorist when it comes to using his best players. Jaden Ivey was held for hostage all season last year. We're like, look, I'm not sitting here saying Jaden Ivey's this amazing player and he's going to be an all-star. Jaden Ivey should be playing a heck of a lot more minutes on a ballsack Pistons team.
I saw a stat where Killian Hayes had more minutes than him the first half of the year last year. That's a war crime.
Like, what are we doing?
They've got Bickerstaff, which, say what you will about him, anything's an upgrade from Monty Williams. I think there's a few veteran guys that's going to help balance this team. I think Jalen Duren's awesome. Asar Thompson showed some flashes. They're adding some shooting this year. They're adding some shooting this year on the wing. I think this rotation actually resembles a real NBA team. And that's not something we could have said for the last few years of Pistons teams. So I like the over 25.5. They're going to surprise some people.
What about if Cade gets hurt? Do you still like that over?
No, I don't, because it all depends on him. He's the number one guy. He's the option. He's the guy that's going to get to the lane, get you a bucket when you need it. They don't have, it's going to turn into, I guess, the Jaden Ivey show after that, the Marcus Sasser show. Yeah. They need Cade to play 70 games.
Yeah, and that's my only concern about it. But even then, I think it's going to be the Jaden Ivey show, I feel like.
Maybe, yeah. I don't know. I kind of like him, though. There's a lot of young guys on there that are really going to try.
Yeah. Real quick, pick a bunch of All-Stars, and then we'll move on to our season predictions, and we'll get out of here.
All-Stars real quick, locks. Giannis, Jason Tatum, Jaylen Brown. I wrote down Halliburton.
I had him as a lock, too.
Paolo.
Yep.
Jalen Brunson.
Yep.
Tyrese Maxey.
Yep.
Donovan Mitchell.
Yep.
Jimmy Butler.
I did not have Butler written down as a lock.
I think he plays 65 games this year, and I think the Heat are sneaky good. So I've got him. I've got Derek White because I think the Celtics are going to win 60 games, and they need a third guy. And I think especially with Porzingis out, he's going to get a ton more usage. I wrote down. So Embiid would obviously make it. I don't think he plays 65 games or whatever I guess maybe that's not a requirement. But I still don't think he plays enough games to get selected.
I had Embiid written down because I feel like you had to write him down.
Bam.
I think you have to choose between Bam or Butler.
Then I think it's going to be Butler, and then I put LaMelo.
Oh, you put LaMelo in there.
I put LaMelo because I put him over Trae Young. I put him over Scotty Barnes, over Cade, over Paul George, over Towns. And then I said hell no to Damian Lillard.
Franz Wagner?
Nope.
Miles Bridges?
Nope. No.
Mikal Bridges?
No.
Cat?
See, maybe Cat. Cat is the one I might take LaMelo out for. I don't think Scotty Barnes. I don't think Paul George. I don't think Lillard.
I don't think Paul George either. Okay. I agree for the most part. The only ones I think I had switched were I didn't have any Heat players in there. But
I think the Heat are going to be sneaky good, and I think the reputation's there for a guy like Butler. If he plays 60 games or whatever, then
I like the Butler pick though. I really do.
Yeah.
All right, let's do season predictions real quick. Most improved.
Most improved. I've got Jalen Williams on the Thunder. I think that's the right.
You're going chalk.
I think that's the right pick. I think that's the right pick. It's a team that's going to win 60 games, a guy that's going to get a ton of usage. If he averages 23 points a game, he's most improved player, period.
Well, do you think he'll get the ball enough to do so and average enough?
I do.
Because I feel like Shea dominates the ball too much for him to do that.
He averaged, almost 20 last year? I think he sneaky initiates a lot of the offense this year.
Is that jump, if he averaged close to 20,
what did he average last year?
I don't think he averaged 20, did he? I could be wrong, though. I think half the league averaged 20.
19.
Yeah, so does a 4-point jump warrant a most improved, or is it
just
based off media
games,
narrative?
Maybe. Yeah. They're going to get a ton of national media exposure. Who's your pick?
So I went a little deeper. I went a little, value pick. Shout out Chase. He actually pointed these out to me. So, and then I looked more deep into him, and I actually kind of like him. Jaden Ivey was my pick.
What are the odds on that?
Plus 5,000.
I sneaky don't hate that. If the Pistons are fighting for a play-in spot, and he's a big reason why, maybe Cade misses a little bit of time and he keeps the ship afloat, I don't hate that at all.
And for how little time he got last year under Monty Williams, Bickerstaff's going to make sure Jaden Ivey plays a lot more minutes, and he's going when this guy's on the court, he's putting up shots. The ball's in his hands when he's on the floor. I think he has a lot. This is a way more of a long shot play. I don't like it as much, but at plus 8,000 right now, Scoot Henderson.
Nah. I don't see it. I don't see it with Scoot. I'm sorry.
Let's
while
say,
Anthony Simons is on that team, if Shaedon Sharp plays on this team, I don't think he gets enough.
Yeah, let's say Simons or Jeremy Grant or whatever, they get traded, and all of a sudden we're getting a lot of Scoot Henderson minutes. This dude averages 18, 19 a game. Could he be in that range? Or are they just so bad at people are just like,
well, that's what I'm saying. I just don't know if people are going to be paying attention to the Blazers enough for that to actually happen.
I think that's fair. Let's move on then. Rookie of the year.
I have no clue. Genuinely, no idea. I don't even know what to say. I mean, the favorite Zach Edey, which I think is stupid, but you know what? He's going to get guaranteed minutes, so maybe it's not stupid. Dalton Connect's a good pick. I think as much as I don't like the Hawks, Reese Shea is going to get a ton of minutes. Like, he's 10-1. I don't hate that. If you want to go like really deep cut, man, I don't even know. You mentioned Rob Dillingham. If Mike Conley gets hurt for a period of time, but I still don't think he get enough usage. I don't know. What do you think?
I like Rob Dillingham if Conley goes down, potentially. Dalton Connect just because he's on the Lakers and there's going to be so much media attention on the Lakers. And we see guys like Rui Hachimura. If Rui was on any other team, nobody would give a single crap about Rui Hachimura. But this guy,
when he was on the Wizards, nobody gave a crap about anything he did.
But even if this guy was playing on the Dallas Mavericks, everyone would be like, "Oh yeah, he's fine, whatever." Rui Hachimura gets talked about more than any other player at his caliber. Like, as much as people talked about Kyle Kuzma, then all of a sudden Rui steps in. They're like, "Okay, we're going to talk about Rui as much as we talked about Kuzma when he was on the Lakers." Why?
Yeah, no. But it's the Lakers thing.
And that's the Lakers thing. And Dalton Connect comes out. Dalton Connect's going to be able to score in this league. That's a guarantee. If he gets enough minutes, I think Dalton Connect could do it. And I could see this being a disaster season for the Lakers.
But I don't even think Connect's the best rookie on that team. Real quick, I would say Reed Shepherd. Don't think he gets enough shots, not enough touches. And then Stephon Castle's the other one because people are going to love Wemby. If that team's fighting for a playing spot, he's going to get a lot of national exposure, maybe 10-1.
Yeah. And this is my other bias pick. As long as he's healthy for this season, Jared McCain. Jared McCain's going to he can be a heat check guy. This guy plays so hard. He's going to be on a winning basketball team as well. And this dude's going to be able to score. He's going to be awesome in this league. So, NBA Cup winner.
I mean, I don't know. You're looking for a team that really gives a crap.
So
like the
Kings, Pacers,
last year. Yeah, Cavs. I love the Cavs pick. I really do. I think the Cavs are a sneaky good pick. The Magic are a good pick for this.
Yep.
I think the Magic are a good pick. I would go Magic or Kings. I think that's probably good.
Yeah. Well, you'll throw the Cavs in there as well.
Yeah, Cavs. Yeah.
The Pacers might take a step back because they were there last year, but But the other thing is Adam Silver really wants to promote this thing. So is he going to call up Steve Kerr and be like, "Hey, you guys aren't going to sniff the finals this year. How about you guys go all out for this NBA Cup, and you can win another trophy with Steph Curry.
Hang another banner.
We'll help you out. We'll give you calls. We'll do what we can." But yeah,
I don't hate that.
Yeah. All right, and MVP, we're both Luka, right?
I think that's the right answer, but I also think SGA has a chance. If we're talking narrative, if we're talking team that's going to win 60 games, he's not going to be asked to do like too much on defense. Like, he is the sole driving force of that offense. I think SGA is a decent bet.
You're going to hate this, but I think Nikola Jokic is a pretty solid bet because let's say that, with the depth on this Nuggets team is awful. Let's say he still leads them to a 57 win season. How is he not the MVP?
Steve, I personally agree with that, but I don't think all these voters are going to want to have him again. I think they want some new blood. And the human aspect has to be taken into account here. It really does. It's like, we're going to vote Jokic again for the third time in 4 years. I think that has to be taken into account.
But I think if he is averaging a triple-double and they win 57, 58 games with this roster, I don't think they have a choice. I think their hands are tied.
If that Nuggets team wins anywhere above like 53 games, give it to Jokic, and I mean that sincerely.
Yeah, 100%. NBA Finals.
We do this every year. Last year we went super chalk. I think we both did Celtics Nuggets, didn't we?
Yep.
I don't know. I wanted to take the Nuggets so bad because all those problems I had with them in the regular season, no depth, all that stuff, doesn't matter in the playoffs. It does a little bit, but not really when Jokic is playing 43 minutes a game. I'm going to go Celtics over. I'm torn here.
Say the Nuggets. I know you want to.
I do want to really bad. I think I'm going to go Celtics over Nuggets in the finals. I think I am.
I don't hate it.
All the problems I have with the Nuggets over the regular season, I just think if they make it to the playoffs and they're a top 3 seed, doesn't matter. And the Thunder are going to be awesome, but I think it's a hard-fought series, and maybe they're a year away still.
I have a gross pick for the finals.
Tell me it's the Suns. I knew it. See, they crossed my mind.
I'll tell you what. I think the Western Conference Finals is going to be Phoenix versus Denver.
You think Oklahoma City gets beaten before that? And
yes.
Dallas?
Yes.
Wow.
If OKC matches up with the Denver Nuggets. They are losing that series.
Man, I don't know. I think so. Just because we've seen it with the Denver guys. Just because we've seen it.
Give me Boston over Phoenix in the NBA Finals.
Give me Boston over Denver. It's funny, neither of us picked OKC, huh?
No.
Why
Also,
Phoenix? Real quick, why Phoenix?
Because they have two guys. They have a point guard finally. They have shooting. My only concern is rim protection. That is a huge concern, obviously. But when you have Kevin Durant and Devin Booker, you can win on any given night. And I think Budenholzer comes in and changes everything. Bradley Beal, sure, if he's healthy, great. If not, it doesn't matter.
The fact that they were on my list, I really did almost pick them to win the West. I think a lot of it has to do with Booker getting back to that 2-guard spot where it's like, I don't have to worry about initiating the offense for 60% of the game. I need to get KD involved. I need to get Bradley Beal the ball because he's new this year. He doesn't have to worry about that anymore. They have a legitimate point guard depth position this year with Monty Morris and Tyus Jones. All of a sudden, Booker goes back to being that number one option. I think Booker's going to have a huge year, and I honestly don't hate that pick.
Yeah, and also, Devin Booker, he's not a point guard. And you can see he wasn't comfortable playing the point guard position last year. Now that it's Tyus Jones running the show, Devin Booker can play free. He can just take a billion shots. It doesn't matter. They actually have some semblance of an offense this year instead of, here you go, KD, here you go, Booker. And I'm sure that's going to be it when the game gets tight. But when the game gets tight, are there two guys you want more to take a jump shot?
Yeah, no, not at all. But their defense concerns me. You said rim protection.
Their defense might stink.
Tyus Jones is, 6'2", and then you've got Booker and Beal at the other two spots, Durant, who's 37, and then Nurkic.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Also, I went chalk the last, 3 years. I got to pick something. Different.
Fair. That's fair. But you have to pick the Celtics out of the East. I think you just have to. And the only competition in the playoffs for them is the Knicks. So we'll see.
Yeah, we'll see. All right. That's our NBA previews. That was great. We got through
We'll see in a month or so for a check-in? First month check-in?
We'll do a little December check-in and be like, oh yeah, Damian Lillard's averaging 38 a game right now. Are they for real? And then we're like, no way, dude. This team's going to blow
LaMelo played
up.
11 games.
LaMelo out with another broken ankle. Is he going to play? They're going to pay him $60 million. Yeah, we'll do an NBA check-in in a month, and then as football season dies down, we'll be back up more consistently. But anyhow, that's it from us. Make sure to follow at CarterCast on everything. Download SeatGeek. Use code CarterCast, $20 off your first purchase. At Connor_Sparrow, at CarterBA, at CarterCast on everything. Like and subscribe on the YouTube right now, and follow on Spotify and Apple. And then we will see y'all for NFL shows all week. Don't get me wrong. We got football all week, Connor. We got football all week. Anyhow, all right, we'll see y'all then. Bye.